Good morning and welcome to this morning's Small Business University. My name is Kelly Leonard and I'm the CEO of Taylor Leonard Corporation. We are excited to bring you today's speaker, County Council President George Leventhal. He's someone who I've only had an opportunity to personally get to know in a very short amount of time, but I can tell you he's someone who has a heart for Montgomery County, not only for the small business community, but for residents in general. And so I'm gonna keep my introductory statements on him brief just because I believe there's a ton of great information that he's going to be sharing with us, particularly as it pertains to his legislative agenda for small business. And so without further ado, I'd like to introduce you all to County Council President, Mr. George Leventhal.
I do want to introduce my staff, Walton Harris, who is available to all of you and who will stick around and exchange business cards. And my office puts a very high priority on helping you get your questions answered and your problems solved. And I'm very, very happy that another very good friend and colleague is here this morning, our small business navigator, Judy Stephenson, whose position was created by the County Council as a very significant and tangible expression of the County Council's belief in our small business sector. We understand that 96% of all private sector workers in Montgomery County work in businesses with 50 employees or less. We understand that when you spend $100 at a Montgomery County small business, $45 stays in the Montgomery County economy, whereas when you spend $100 at a national chain, $15 stays in the local economy. We want to strengthen and support and promote and foster a healthy small business environment. I want to thank some of the businesses that have sponsored this morning's event: Chesapeake Bay Roasting Company, Geppetto Catering, the Gazette, and Mid-Atlantic Federal Credit Union. I see a lot of friends here from the business and nonprofit communities. I'm not going to call all of you out, but I know you're here. Good to see all of you. When I took the gavel as council president, I said that what we want is for Montgomery County to be known as the county that works. That means that everyone who wants to be employed in Montgomery County should be able to find a job. And it means that our government should be effective and productive, and that we should get results, and that our government should be focused on customer service, just as each of you are. When you interact with a county official, a county employee, it should be a pleasure. And you should get a response, and your email, your phone call should be answered. If you're a business owner or operator located here, you already likely know the reasons why Montgomery County is a great place to do business. Look, we got a lot of money here. We got a lot of successful, wealthy people. We have innovation happening every day. Just a couple of days ago, I was at United Therapeutics in Silver Spring, where they are launching an extraordinary initiative to preserve the life of donated lungs, where you have individuals who sadly lose their lives, who are organ donors. United Therapeutics is developing a mechanism through temperature control, hygiene, purification, making sure that these organs survive longer, substantially increasing the likelihood that they will be successfully accepted by organ recipients. This is happening right here in Silver Spring, Maryland. We have the Human Genome Project. We have MedImmune. We have the National Institutes of Health. We have the Food and Drug Administration. We have assets and resources that any other state or locality, and I know all of you are thinking, and we also have, and we also have, and we also have. Yes, we do. We have extraordinary assets and resources here. And our small business sector, of course, is the beneficiary of the excellent reputation, the large organizations and small organizations that are thriving. But we need to do a better job, and I'm committed to this, of marketing this great county. We have a great story to tell. I do think as a government, we haven't bragged enough about what it takes to maintain a healthy and thriving business climate. I like this video. I've already seen it from Montgomery Business Development Corporation. The Montgomery Business Development Corporation was another effort launched by the County Council to improve our marketing, to improve our business climate, to improve retention of existing businesses, to provide a supportive environment, and try as best we can to attract new businesses. But where the growth in our economy is going to come is not from some magic Fortune 500 company that's helicoptering around looking for a place to land. That's not where it's going to be. The growth of our economy is going to come from people who are here now who have great ideas. Entrepreneurs like many of you. And so that's what we need to foster, and that's what we need to encourage, and I'm committed to that. And we've provided substantial support. Last year, the County Council provided our Department of Economic Development with more than $10.6 million in operating funds, $2.8 million in grant dollars, $1.8 million to the Economic Development Fund, $200,000 for a workforce development initiative, RX for employability, $250,000 for the Green Investor Incentive Program to attract green businesses to the county, and many other smaller grants where specific entrepreneurs have a good idea and need to complete their financing package and can show that the bottom line really requires a small infusion of help from Montgomery County. Each year we invest in our Department of Economic Development for providing financial assistance, small business mentorship programs, business incubators, networking opportunities, and Judy Stephenson's position, the Small Business Navigator. Last year, the County Council appropriated $540,000 for our new Montgomery Business Development Corporation. And we're going to continue to find innovative and effective, productive ways to promote this sector, and I'd like to hear ideas from each of you. It's not just about money. As I say, it's about a culture of customer service. It's about taking a new approach, and this is a big priority for the County Council, to the hundreds of millions of dollars that Montgomery County itself purchases in goods and services. I'm one of the primary sponsors of our local Small Business Reserve Program, which has as its goal that at least 10% of all of those hundreds of millions of dollars of county purchases of goods and services should stay with local, small businesses. We have legislation pending now which would establish a local business subcontracting program, expanding the local Small Business Reserve such that 10% of dollars associated with an initial procurement contract award of more than $10 million must be subcontracted to a local business. So we're also looking at unbundling. We're also looking at making sure that the primes are making opportunities available for their own subs. We have legislation that would establish a reciprocal preference in county government contracting if a bidder from an outside jurisdiction has a local purchasing preference. We have two task forces, a high priority during my term this year as council president, one on minority, female, and disabled-owned businesses, and a second on our procurement practices. These two task forces, we're in the process of appointing them. They will contain entrepreneurs from throughout the county, and we want to hear what they recommend. We want to improve and streamline and make more effective the process by which we award contracts for these hundreds of millions of dollars in goods and services. I can tell you this, you will not win if you do not bid. If you participate, if you have goods or services you want to sell to Montgomery County, give us a try. If you find that the experience is unsatisfactory, let us know. Let Council President Leventhal's office know. Let Judy Stephenson know. We want to hear about it. We want to understand on the ground how it's working. We want to be committed to customer service, and we want to further and promote one of our strongest assets, which is the international character of our workforce. As we market Montgomery County, I think one of the strongest messages that we can communicate is that we are an international gateway. We're very, very blessed to have the presence of the federal government, but in the long term, the growth of our economy is not going to come from the federal government. The federal government is a steady presence, thank goodness. But where we need to expand is in international trade. We need to be globally competitive. We need to be sophisticated and aware of where opportunities exist in both hemispheres, in every continent. And what we have to offer is that no matter where a business may be located, no matter what products it may be seeking to sell, we have highly skilled and capable workers who can do business in that language, whatever language. We are the international gateway to the nation's capital. We need to work with our school system to improve foreign language education in our school system, and we need to market ourselves as that international gateway. We also must invest in our transportation infrastructure. That's a high priority. We cannot afford to lose the Purple Line or the Corridor Cities Transitway. All of you know that when you're stuck in traffic, it's costing you money. And access to transit will dramatically increase local entrepreneurship opportunities, increase land values, increase opportunities for retail and other jobs adjacent to transit. We've got to speak to our new governor. Like him, we want to foster a good business climate and a job-creating economy, but we can't do it in this dense metropolitan county unless we have transit opportunities. We've got to communicate that. We can't lose these projects. We're working finally with our Department of Permitting Services. I talked earlier about how long it takes to get approvals. E-services with e-permits and e-plans are saving small businesses time and money that need to apply for permits every day. 60% of permits are now issued online since e-permits was initiated in 2013. We're moving away from the old file cabinet mechanisms. We're moving towards a paperless economy and a knowledge-based economy. The Department of Permitting Services has launched online training modules so that e-plans can be set up without individuals having to attend a registration in person. And the Department of Permitting Services has free design consultation for all businesses and a special program for restaurants called Recipes for Success, which brings together all the agencies necessary: Permitting Services, Health and Human Services, Economic Development, Liquor Control, and Fire and Rescue Services in one place so that our startup restaurants can get advice and meet with all the people they need to meet with. This is just one of the ideas that we're trying to implement. I'd like to hear from you about what other ideas and how we can make your business more effective and how dealing with county government can be a pleasure, because we want to show, and you can help us, that Montgomery County is the county that works. Thank you very much. So I'll take questions or comments. We've got a few minutes for that. Anybody have anything on your mind? Everything perfect in Montgomery County? Nothing at all? Yes, please.
My community had a very large problem with parking.
Your community had a problem with parking.
And I can't tell you how many officials I contacted. Her office was the only one that responded.
Oh, good.
And because
I didn't know where this was going.
of that, the permit law has been changed to allow for a variety of different reasons for getting permanent parking, which is what we're working on. And one of the reasons I am definitely here today is to say thank you.
My office intervened on some parking regulations. You were adjacent to an apartment building in Prince George's County, and so we needed to change the residential parking restrictions so that folks who live in Montgomery County can park in Montgomery County and not have all the parking on their street taken by out-of-county residents. We changed the parking regulations at your request, and I appreciate your being here.
To allow for permit parking for evenings and weekends as opposed to just during business hours.
Well, thank you again. We don't always succeed. We don't get 100% right, but my office is committed to helping my constituents solve their problems and get their questions answered. Any other? Yes, sir, in back.
Is it possible, we built the ICC, which is a beautiful road, and really does cut time, but at $4 a ride, I think if the cost of the ICC were reduced, you would pull a lot more cars off the 495 Beltway, and actually reduce traffic and pollution tremendously.
Okay, so the question was tolls on the ICC and whether they're so high that they're discouraging people from using the inter-county connector. Now, first of all, I want to be clear that that is a decision of the state of Maryland. That's not a decision before the Montgomery County Council. When the issue has been raised with the State Highway Administration, the response has been that they've carefully done the math, and the amount of the tolls are what is necessary to pay off the debt service. My former colleague, Councilmember Phil Andrews, believes strongly, and he's advocated for this, that if you generate more traffic, even if the toll is lower, you'll make it up in volume. State Highway Administration historically has responded that that's not the case. I do understand the point. I do appreciate that the tolls are high. The reality is that, these projects do need to be paid for. I'm not really for or against lowering the tolls. I do understand that the debt service must be paid. We are in a situation where we do need creative financing. The legislature was very brave and courageous to raise the gas tax, even though people complained about it. Fortunately, gas prices today are very low, and yet we're still getting the revenue to invest in transportation projects. I hope our new governor will continue investing in mass transit, which is what we need in this metropolitan county. The inter-county connector, I encourage people to use it. There's not a lot of traffic on it. Those who were opposed to it, it was one of the most ballistically controversial projects ever built, said if you build it, there will just be a ton of traffic and you'll just induce traffic. Now those who are opposed to it say nobody's using it, it's not being used enough. I think there will always be some degree of disgruntlement and complaint. The issue of the tolls, I think, will continue to come up. I think there's a fresh opportunity to look at that issue with a new governor taking office, and I think people should feel free to weigh in with the new governor, whether you voted for him or not. He works for all of us, and so that's an issue that you need to raise with our state government. Yes, sir, in back.
Yes, sir. I'm from the Ebola Scare Initiative. This is not, this is a forum I just want to use to ask the council if it is possible to grace our occasion. There's a January 16 fundraising event that we're trying to raise money and food stuff for those affected in West Africa. So I want to know if the council can come on board to help those there that are in Africa, especially the organization was founded here in Maryland. And they're trying to do something because most of us from West Africa are kind of pressed with the situation.
Repeat the name of the organization so I can broadcast it.
Ebola Scare Initiative.
Ebola Scare Initiative. Okay, so this gentleman represents the Ebola Scare Initiative, which is having a fundraising event on January 16th. My staff, Walton Harris, will get the information from you. I don't know what my schedule is at this moment on January 16th, but what we can certainly do, regardless of whether I'm able to participate, I don't know that right now, is circulate word of the event to the entire county council, and thank you for announcing it here, and thank you for your efforts to address the Ebola crisis. Kim Lemfier.
What are the legislative priorities and the bills or legislation that will come before the county council to help implement the vision that you have for small business?
Right, as I said, we have several pieces of legislation pending addressing procurement to try to keep those dollars that we spend on goods and services here in the local economy. So we're looking at a number of ways within very complex constraints that based on Supreme Court rulings. The Supreme Court has a number of rulings which try to ensure really a free and open market and try to prevent government preferences for and set-asides. And so, but we like to try to provide preferences and set-asides. So it's a very complex policy arena. But we are looking at a variety of bills that would give some leg up, what we believe within the law constitutionally, to local businesses, disadvantaged businesses. We have several measures to address that, and we are consulting with the county attorney. That's going to be a big conversation. And then we have two task forces, which we now, the deadline has passed. We have applicants from throughout the county, entrepreneurs and other citizen leaders who will serve on a task force on minority, female, and disabled business procurement and on the general procurement issue. I know that when vendors bid, the paperwork requirements are severe, the compliance requirements are cumbersome, and we want to understand on the ground what it means for a vendor who wants to do business with the county. And so these two task forces will report back to us in fall of 2015 during my year as president, and I'm hoping we will follow up with legislation and regulations designed to make it an easier and more pleasant process to do business with Montgomery County. Yes, Ellie.
I'm so happy you talked about raising the awareness of the great assets here in Montgomery County. And one of our greatest assets is we have such wonderful education institutions here.
Right.
And they provide a lot of supports for small business, whether it is with employment development or business plans, or how is the best way for our small businesses here to make some connections with our educational institutions?
Thanks, Ellie. So when we talk about marketing Montgomery County, one of the first things that comes to mind clearly is we have among the very best public school systems in the United States. And we have among the very best community colleges in the United States. And that's something we can take great pride in, and it's something that attracts people to buy and rent their homes here and to do business with all of you. On the one hand, on the other hand. In so many ways, because we are doing so well and we are so blessed, we are victims of our own success. The major complaint that I hear from the business sector is what? Your taxes are high. And I'm not going to deny that on a relative scale our taxes are high. And we have one of the best school systems in the United States. Do the math. It doesn't come cheaply. So on the one hand, on the other hand, I know that the burden of taxes is serious, and I want to hear from you. We also do want to provide a government that works. We want to provide a school system that is productive. We want to make sure that the taxes that you pay are achieving results for all of you and for our entire community. And whether or not you have kids in public school, we all benefit. None of us benefit from ignorance. We all benefit from a highly trained, highly skilled workforce, even if it's kids who live next door, even if we don't have kids of our own. I am delighted to work with any business that wants to understand better the school system's procurement practices. Craig Rice, my colleague, chairman of the Education Committee, I know is making that committee more active and involved in oversight than perhaps it has been in the past. The school system is an independent entity governed by state law. We don't we, the county council, appropriate its budget, we do not run it. We don't run the school system. However, we do have an education committee, and we do have the ability to ask questions, and we certainly have the ability to make introductions. And so where someone wants to understand better how to produce students for internships or job opportunities, where someone wants to understand how to sell goods and services to Montgomery County Public Schools or Montgomery College, my office certainly can help make connections in that regard. Yes, sir.
To piggyback on that, I think one of the things that the county needs is an accelerator program for small businesses that are interested in developing certain technologies and services to the county that can be a partnership with the colleges, universities, or even small business university through Mid-Atlantic that could help foster the development and growth of small businesses so that those companies can get in position to take advantage of the initiatives that you've just spoken about.
And your name is?
Stephen Myers.
So, Mr. Myers is pushing the concept of an accelerator program. Let me ask you, Mr. Myers, how would you, in plain English, define the difference between an incubator and an accelerator? What does it mean to you?
Incubator provides services and shared services and can also provide some resources to the entity that has the funding to be able to participate in the incubator. Accelerator programs differ in that they help companies who already have a business plan, are looking to vet out the issues with their business plan and then be able to access financing for their company so that they can accelerate their business into the marketplace so that they can derive revenue, they can then in turn hire employees throughout the county. So it's an initiative that helps the company derive the revenues to get started so that it can then be successful, as opposed to having an incubator where everything comes out of your pocket as a small business initially to get started, and then you hope you can get a contract with the county to be successful.
Was everyone able to hear Mr. Myers? That's tremendously helpful. I really appreciate it. I sit on the Planning, Housing, and Economic Development Committee. We work with our Department of Economic Development on trying to promote our incubator program. As of this moment, we don't have a county-sponsored accelerator. I've heard from others that that's something we should be looking at. I know that the department and the county executive are interested in that, and I really appreciate that point, and we will definitely take that up in the committee that I sit on.
I'll be glad to help in any way I can.
Thank you, Mr. Myers. Yes, sir.
My name is Conrad Purcell. I'm CEO of Corvidia. We are a graduate of the incubator program.
Excellent.
The accelerator is exactly what we need to get to the next level. So I endorse the idea of the accelerator program.
That's extremely helpful.
We have a good customer base, solid customer base is international and around the country, within the country family. So all that money comes from outside the county and state.
Thank you very much.
But we need an accelerator type program to take it to the next level.
Your testimony makes a big difference. I really appreciate hearing that, and I'm in a position to do something about it. Anything else this morning? Well, what a great pleasure to be here. Go out and make money. Thank you.